Cooper Flagg has spent the past year as the face of college basketball and was unsurprisingly selected #1 overall in this year's NBA draft. He's been hailed as the best American freshman since Zion Williamson, and some are even going so far as to call him a generational talent. Today, we're going to look at Cooper Flagg's unbelievable resume, as well as other generational prospects, to help us determine whether or not Cooper is worthy of carrying the generational label. Cooper is no stranger to playing in the spotlight. After building up hype as a prospect out of Maine, he transferred to Montverde Academy as a sophomore, where he didn't just live up to his impossible expectations, he exceeded them. In his junior year, he led Montverde to a perfect 34-0 record, as well as a national championship, all while building up hype as a 5-star prospect and the #1 player in the 2025 class. He then reclassified to the class of 2024, maintained his #1 rank, and committed to Duke University in October of 2023. Cooper was arriving well ahead of schedule, and it was easy to see why so many were quick to dub him as a generational player. As a freshman at Duke, Cooper took college basketball by storm and completed one of the greatest seasons in college basketball history. The National Player of the Year and consensus first-team All-American led the Blue Devils to a 35-4 record, an ACC regular season and tournament championship, and a Final Four appearance, all while leading the team in every single major statistic. It's fair to say that Cooper has built a name for himself in the basketball world, but what is it about his game and his skill set that people recognize as generational? Offensively, he can score on all three levels, but he's a demon in the fast break. He thrives when playing through or drawing contact, almost like his favorite play is an and one. He draws a lot of defensive attention that leads to wide open teammates who he effortlessly finds. He's a great decision maker, including wise shot selections. And his footwork is exceptional, especially in pivots. He moves with great balance. He also has extraordinary vision and is capable of bringing the ball up and running the offense even at 6'9". Now, nobody's perfect, and Cooper does have his fair share of flaws. He's got good handles for someone of his size, but that's definitely an area where he could improve, as well as three-point efficiency. The defensive side of the ball is where Cooper truly thrives. He possesses incredible length and uses it to his advantage, especially on defense. He also moves with great speed for someone with such length. He plays with patience, doesn't bite on fouls, and at times it looks like he lets the offense play right into his trap by waiting for his time to strike. He clearly has great basketball IQ, showing that in a lot of his defensive rotations. He knows where he needs to be and can read the offense like a book. However, he's sometimes caught out of position chasing steals or blocks, but the hustle's always there. His defensive engine is always running at 100%. No matter how he's playing on offense, you can count on his defensive effort. His final critique is that due to the combination of his skill set and size, he kind of lacks a true position. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, as we've seen the same issue with LeBron and having rare versatility, but it does make it difficult for him and his team to find his perfect fit. Now, we can't keep glazing Cooper Flagg without, of course, mentioning the 2024 USA Men's Select Team scrimmage against the US Olympic men's team, where Cooper showed off his competitiveness amongst top-tier NBA talent. Hopefully, this was a sneak peek at what is to come once he starts playing real NBA games. He showed that he can hang with the big boys and successfully defend a variety of opponents, such as Drew Holiday, Bam Adebayo, and even Anthony Davis. He consistently made great heads-up plays, even when his stupid idiot teammate Brandon Pajemski failed to see him cut here. He proved that he's fierce, not afraid to take charge and lead his team, no matter who he's up against. His confidence against the world's best set him apart from his teammates, even as the youngest on the team. Despite his missed shots and opportunities, he proved he's a worthy competitor, even at just 17 years old, and he isn't afraid of the big moment. He's willing to do what it takes to win. Again, he was the youngest player there, but he made the most noise. Of course, like I said, Cooper isn't perfect. He doesn't shy away from the spotlight, but he doesn't thrive in it either, bringing his clutch gene into question. While he still has time to grow in this area, it's one of the big critiques of his game, and it definitely doesn't help his case as a generational prospect. Duke lost a total of 4 games in the 2024-25 season, and in each of those games, Cooper was trusted with the ball in crunch time. Against Kentucky, he was given the ball twice with under 25 seconds to go, and both times he turned it over, leading to Kentucky points and costing Duke the game.
Here he goes, driving on Carr. Lost it, and always got it for Kentucky. And is fouled. Flagg has it. Between the legs, struggling to retain possession, and he turned it over.
It was more of the same against Kansas, as once again he had the ball with under a minute left and a chance to take the lead. And once again, he coughed up a bad turnover.
Big time height advantage. Flagg, he had it and he lost it.
To make matters worse, that was his last offensive possession, as Duke turned to Knuppel for its last 2 shot attempts. His most infamous choke came with 15 seconds left against Clemson when he slipped and fell on a drive to the basket that would have tied the game, and instead became his 4th turnover in game-deciding possessions.
Unbelievable. But think about him slide. He's skating. He's skating.
His final blunder came in the Final Four against Houston. Down 1 with 10 seconds left, he backed down his defender and put up a go-ahead mid-range fadeaway and missed it. His go-to shot, his bread and butter, a shot he practiced countless times, fell just short. Cooper fell just short. Duke fell just short of a national championship, and that shot sealed its fate as yet another talented Blue Devils roster that couldn't get it done. Outside of those 4 games, Duke never really struggled, and they put away the rest of their opponents with ease, giving Cooper the inability to make up for his shortcomings in crunch time. However, there is a silver lining to all of this. He proved he's fearless. He's confident in taking shots and confident in missing them, and most importantly, he didn't let his mistakes discourage him. Now let's take what we know about Cooper and see how he compares to other generational prospects. Since 2000, there have been 3 NBA prospects, in my opinion, worthy of the generational label. These players all shared an important similarity that earned them that label. They were freaks of nature, making them unlike anything we'd seen before. As a freshman at Duke, Zion accumulated levels of hype that even Cooper Flagg failed to surpass. That's not a knock on Cooper, it's just a testament to how on top of the world Zion Williamson was in college. Zion possessed unbelievable athleticism for a player of his size. His speed, hops, and agility paired with a 6'6", 280-pound frame truly combined for a player that the league had never seen before. He could score with power, score at will, and he was dominant on both ends of the floor. As a college freshman, he consistently looked like a man amongst boys. I mean, this was a guy whose explosiveness and strength caused him to tear through his own shoe. Now, it's no secret that Zion hasn't exactly lived up to the hype he produced coming out of college, at least not yet. But whether or not you believe he hit on his potential, it cannot be denied that Zion Williamson in college was 100% a generational NBA prospect. Les brioches chantent l'histoire de son savoir. Des baguettes dressées comme des soldats. Coming out of France, Victor Wembanyama had the NBA licking its chops at the thought of him playing in the United States. The 7'4" alien with an 8-foot wingspan was essentially a cheat code. It was like he was built in a lab to be the greatest player to ever touch a basketball. He had everything you could ever want in a basketball player. He could shoot, he could pass, he could dribble, he could defend, and he could do it all while being as tall as a skyscraper. NBA teams lined up like never before, throwing away their seasons and tanking for just a chance at getting that coveted first overall pick and selecting what felt like the future of basketball. The bottom line is, he was unlike anything the world had ever seen. He possessed exceptional skills for a player of his size. He and Zion share a similar theme, and it's a theme that drives their argument for being generational. They shouldn't be able to move like that at that size. While Wembanyama's offensive versatility hasn't quite reached the potential that we were promised, he has already shown so early on in his career that he was worthy of the generational label. Hopefully, injuries won't be a pattern for Wembanyama in his career, because if he can stay healthy and continue at this pace, we'll likely witness a career filled with multiple MVPs, numerous championships, and at least a handful of Defensive Player of the Year awards. LeBron James has had the spotlight on him since he was just 16 years old. He was the most anticipated NBA prospect of all time, being labeled the chosen one while he was still in high school. Before even entering the NBA, he was projected to be in the conversation for the greatest players of all time when it was all said and done. Even with all eyes watching and the weight of the world on his shoulders, LeBron maintained poise and displayed immense maturity, which is a rare attribute to find in a teenage prospect, and it's something that has stayed with him throughout his professional career. He played the game as it came to him, as if he were just going through the motions. Like the rest of these generational prospects, he stood out against his competition, both on and off the court. His incredible self-discipline set him apart from other prospects his age, proving he was willing to do what it took to be the best. LeBron James is the gold standard of what it means to be generational. Not only was he a generational prospect, but he followed it up by becoming a generational player and one of, if not the greatest players of all time. He was given the highest possible expectations, and he somehow exceeded them. Cooper Flagg has all the tools you look for in an ideal number 1 overall pick. He possesses the basketball IQ, defensive prowess, and pro-level confidence to be considered a generational prospect. However, when talking about generational prospects, a common aspect they share is that we hadn't seen anything like them in the league before. They were hard to find an exact NBA comparison to because they were so unique in their playstyles, frames, and skill sets. When looking at Cooper Flagg, there are a number of players he can be closely compared to, such as Scottie Pippen, Kevin Garnett, or even Jason Tatum. He isn't necessarily adding anything new to the league that we haven't already seen, but more importantly, the players he's been compared to weren't considered generational prospects either. They were considered great picks, incredible players, and more than likely all Hall of Famers, but never generational. If you ask me to find a player who can shoot, playmake, and defend at Cooper Flagg's size, I'd say look no further than Jason Tatum, a player who can do all that, but better. Now, Tatum is an incredible player and current superstar, but nobody's out here calling him generational. Cooper Flagg may very well retire with championships, All-NBA selections, Defensive Player of the Year awards, and maybe even an MVP or two, but he won't define a generation, and that's okay, because none of his comparisons did, and neither have 99% of players in NBA history. When I picture a generational player, they're seen as the face of the league, or at least had the potential to. LeBron certainly accomplished this, Zion at least had the potential, and Vic, in all likelihood, will be the face of the NBA for years to come. But when I look at Cooper, I don't see a guy capable of taking over the league. I don't see a future face of basketball. He's going to be competing against guys like Anthony Edwards, Luka, Shea, Tatum, and of course Wembanyama. That is some stiff competition, and I just don't like his chances. And I mean that as a compliment to those guys rather than a criticism of Cooper. The point is that the NBA already has several talented young players already pleading their cases for why they should head the next basketball regime, which makes the start of Cooper's campaign feel more like a whimper than a bang. Again, Cooper is a phenomenal player and 100% deserved to go first overall, but he isn't raising the bar in terms of talent as a prospect, and he isn't bringing anything new to the table. I think we in the sports world have become too comfortable with throwing around the word generational. This creates unfair expectations for players that should have never been given that title in the first place. Players can be special without being generational, but I think we've become accustomed to calling every great prospect generational because we are impatient and crave excellence. By now, we've realized the generation of LeBron, Curry, and KD is coming to an end sooner rather than later, and we can't wait to see the next big thing, so we prematurely label every player that looks promising as generational until one of them actually is. I'm rooting for Cooper. Though this video may not seem like it, I want him to succeed. I know he'll be one of the world's best basketball players throughout his career, but I think we need to stop using the term generational so loosely and reserve it for the players who can truly define a generation.